So welcome everybody I just am so excited. This has been a really great exercise for me to be able to come and do this. And I continue to be fascinated with how little I know about this, but I am learning, and so thank you for coming and being a part, because I do really believe that it is through this connection that we're gonna stay a community, and I think that's really important. So we're going to begin this service as we always do with an opening treatment, and today the treatment will be given by Gail Rhodes. So Gail, unmute yourself.
There, unmuted, correct?
Yes.
So good morning all. Let's take a moment and take a nice relaxing breath. Close your eyes if that feels comfortable to you. And just know that there is only one thing, and that thing is God. That thing is all loving, powerful, beautiful, kind, wise. It is who we are. It is what we are. It is how we move through the world. So as we come together this morning to celebrate that, to remember who we are, that even in these challenging times, and maybe especially in these challenging times, to come back to that place, to know that we are spiritual beings experiencing this human experience. And as we recognize, as we remember, as we share that knowledge with each other, as we celebrate that, as we move into it and claim it as our own, everything in our lives shifts. So we come together today to hear inspiring words from Dr. Becket, to hear beautiful music from Mary Buckley, and to just solidify and own and build up that knowledge of spirit within us, within our community. And for that, we are grateful. As we release this truth into the one mind, we know that it is already acted upon, and we know that right here and right now, and as we move through our day, and as we move through the rest of our lives, Spirit is responding to that. So it is our choice, and we make it. We celebrate it. We consciously court it, and we release it to the one mind, knowing it is so, and so it is.
So it is. Thank you, Gail. It was really lovely.
You're welcome.
So you can go ahead and mute yourself again.
Okay. I didn't know if I had to or not.
And so now we're going to have our first song from Mary Buckley. So Mary, there you go.
Okay. This song is called In Lockdown. I wrote it in April, and it already seems like a really long time ago. And you can ignore the line about blue skies reappearing, because that's not so much the case today, at least where I live anyway. Okay, this is In Lockdown. In lockdown, we've been hearing that the skies are clearing and wildlife's reappearing all around the world. In the silence, we can listen to the birds and winds that whisper, to the rays of light that glisten all around the world. Less fossil fuel is burning, blue skies are returning, generosity is reaffirming all around the world. We're making art and music, giving help where help is is needed, small kindness is repeated all around the world. A virus tore through business, but it never can extinguish the spirit that we witness all around the world. Death is right around the corner, so we know it's now or never. Each and every breath is a treasure all around the world. In lockdown, we've been hearing that the skies are clearing and wildlife's reappearing all around the world. All around the world. All around the world.
Thank you so much, Mary. I just think that was beautiful. I loved it. So often this would be a time when you could use the chat and say lovely things to Mary. So, and that's totally up to you, but I just remember because often you see that. I've already watched 2 services today, Santa Rosa and San Jose, and Cricket was the soloist at San Jose, and so I went ahead and went, oh, you're wonderful as ever, or something like that. So it's just a you know, a reminder that it's nice to acknowledge these folks. And I really love that song, and Mary sent me this one also, and the words, and I kind of was like really taking it to heart, because we are still in this very interesting time of pandemic, and now we've had it, you know, all these other things that are upon us that just grab at our attention. And I think it's important to try to find a positive take on everything that we're experiencing and going through. And so to that end, yesterday, David and I decided to go to the farmer's market, and it's our first time this summer. It was really wonderful. It was, people were just so courteous, and it was just great. I had a fabulous time. In fact, we had such a fabulous time that when we couldn't find everything we wanted there, we went down to the fruit stand at Nelson's. And so by the time we got home, I can't even tell you, we had strawberries, we had blackberries, we had peaches, we had kale, we had cucumbers, and we bought a piece of halibut. You know, it was so much fun. And as I was unpacking, I remembered this phrase about eat the rainbow, you know, to keep your food fresh and keep your food colorful, and that was a really good diet. So, so we're eating a rainbow over here at our house, and it's fabulous. But it also brought me to a place, as Mary's song talks about, of truly trying to come to a place where we can better and more completely honor our environment. And I found this, I don't even know where I got this, but it's called Honoring the Environment. And it's just positive statements that include kind of affirmations on how we can honor our environment. So I'm just going to read it to you. And so you can just think these words for yourself. Today, I take time to admire and appreciate nature. Today, I practice nonviolence and respect for the earth by making good use of my resources. Today, I appreciate all those who work to make my food available, including growers, truckers, grocers, waitresses, cooks. Continue that list. Today, I recycle to reduce waste, conserve energy and water. Today, I recognize that my attitude and treatment of all people and animals reflects my respect for life. Today, I plant a seed or nurture a plant. Today, through it all, I notice the peacefulness in the world around me. And so thinking about honoring the environment led me to think about what else do I honor? And specifically, who do I honor? If you look up the word honor, it has to do with respect, but it also there's an implication there that when you're honoring something, you're paying attention in a respectful way and hearing what is being said in a respectful way, or what is being done in a respectful way. So it got me to thinking, and my first realization was that whether I like what someone is doing or saying, I honor that person by paying attention to them. And right now, I'm giving, this is my estimation of me, but right now, I'm giving way too much of my thought, my attention to people and situations that I don't like or I don't understand. Yet, I honor them because there I am, paying attention. And even though what comes up for me sometimes is anger or frustration, there is still an honoring system just because I was willing to engage. Last week, I mentioned that I had attended the virtual ministers gathering. And at that gathering, this minister, her name is Ardriette Earl, and she is the minister of the Heart and Soul Center for Spiritual Living in Oakland. And she, well, I'm just gonna, this is her quote, but we were talking about when people, say things sometimes that they don't even realize can be hurtful. And so she said this is often her response. Sometimes it's just internal, but sometimes depending on the person, directly to them. And she said, "Is my name safe in your mouth?" And I was like, how can I make anybody whose name I utter that they're safe in my mouth? And I truly got to the place, because there's also this, like, is it safe for me to walk through, your thoughts about me? And if not, what I started to realize is that then I have work to do. Because this isn't about ignoring, but this is about how am I taking in the information that I'm getting, even from, if I'm going to be giving them my attention, if I'm going to be honoring them with my time and my presence, then what do I want to have happen? And before I get too far into that, I do also want to say that I in no way am condoning behaviors of people that are not being supportive of a world that works for everyone. But at the same time, I still want that person, I'm done with the anger, I'm done with the hate, I'm done with the frustration. So how can I make that name safe in my mouth? How can I make that person safe in my mind? And what I know is I have a lot of work to do. But one of the first things that I would encourage all of us to do is spend some time every day and think about who do I want to honor? And who, when I speak their name, isn't just safe, but praised in my heart and in my mind. And I, just by speaking their name, remembering who they are, that lifts me. That's what I want. I want more inspiration, more upliftment. So here are some questions that I used on myself. And I would encourage you to consider answering these questions. So first all, who are my heroes? Who are your heroes? And that's who inspires me, who moves me, who teaches me, so that I may act in a way that resembles what they're doing. And so what about them lifts me? Because I watched both Edward Fillion and David Bruner, and both of these men lift me. But I'm not, when I get down to the what is it about them, then that's a big question for me, because those are some of the things that once I think of that, I could go on to this idea of who they are. I must have some of that within me, or I wouldn't recognize it within them. So let me see what I can do to emulate that. And a way that I've been practicing over the last few days is that I think of a current challenge that I'm facing, and then I ask myself, how would my hero, how would my inspiration respond? And see, a lot of you probably remember several years ago, there were these bands and they said, WWJD, what would Jesus do? And so that's a good question. It's like, in this situation, what would Jesus do? But you can, what would Ernest Holmes do? What would the Dalai Lama do? What would fill in the blank of your hero do? So what would Edward Villiers say? What would David Bruner, how would he act? That's it, because I don't want to oversimplify this, because I know that there's lots of scary and challenging things going on in the world, and I could say the list, but you know the list. What I know is that these questions sow seeds. And even if I don't see a solid answer right away, just like when you first plant a seed, you don't see any activity. There is activity happening and new growth is about to happen. So I think it's important to think along these lines, and it can deeply change how we respond and what actions we choose to take in lots of situations as we walk through our day. The bottom line for me in this is what we dwell on shows up in our lives. So I really want to be clear that what I'm dwelling on is not so much about the chaos and the turmoil, but about the positive activity, about heroes walking their way through this time and giving me guidance, giving me inspiration, giving me examples on how to be. So in the midst of all of this, by concentrating on those, like dwelling on those heroes, taking my action from their models, what I know is that when we're all doing this and we're doing it individually and yet collectively, we actually are changing our lives and we're actually changing the world. And there's really not a lot of debate around that. I think everybody kind of gets it. So one of the questions that I think is really important in this time that I find myself asking at least daily and sometimes multiple times in a day is I just say, Spirit within, what would you have me know? What would you have me do? And I did that yesterday, just as I was working on the notes for the talk. I asked myself, what would you have me know? And a quote came into my head, and I had to look it up because I wasn't sure. I knew it was biblical, but I didn't know where. And it's actually from the book of Revelations. And in the book of Revelations, the author says, "Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the old had passed away." And for me, that was great inspiration, that the old is passing away, that we are in those throes of the ending of something where something else is about to emerge. So, in that passing away, planting seeds for a new heaven, a new earth, so important. There's a simple exercise to plant some seeds this week. And I actually got this from Reverend Joyce DeFalla. She's one of the assistant ministers at Santa Rosa. And she gave a talk, oh, I don't know, a few weeks ago. And she brought forward this very simple exercise. And I have notes on it. And if you'd like the notes that I have, the steps that I have, put it in the chat that and you can just put, I want those notes or something like that. And it's okay. If you don't, it's fine. But here's the exercise. She said, look for the qualities of God. And these are Troward's, the 7 qualities of God, which are love, life, light, peace, power, beauty, and joy. And you take one a day. So she began with life. And so she said, the first thing to do is to consider my definition of life is fill in the blank. Today I notice life in action as fill in the blank. And then a question, how can I bring more life into my personal experience? And so again, this is life with a capital L. This is life as God is life. And the last is, how can I bring more life into the experience of others? So I think it's a really important kind of exercise. This is the way we start to plant seeds, by looking at what it is that we have. And in this case, love, light, life, peace, power, beauty, and joy. And how do we bring that forward? How do we share it in our times right now? But in closing, I just want to tell you that I think the most important thing you can do is to nurture yourself. And so every day, another way that you can plant seeds is by having a practice and be methodical about it, or schedule it so it definitely becomes a part of your day. So meditation or any kind of inspiration. Of course, spiritual mind treatment, but also you can read inspirational works. You can listen to music that lifts you up, whatever that is, but to nurture yourself, to care for yourself is so important. And most of all, remember how great and how powerful you are. We are in this together, and we can change the world. So we're going to go into our treatment. So we're going to start with a minute of silence. And during the silence, if you would like to put a treatment request in the chat, then I will add it to my treatment. Okay, so just deep breath and step into the silence with me. as always, we begin by knowing that there is only one thing, and that thing is God. That it is unfolding in ways known and unknown, seen and unseen, great and small. That it is alive and well and doing its business in a way that can only move us in one direction, and that direction is forward. So I feel that within myself, I know that individually and as a group, we are making those connections with each other and with the divine in order to completely and deeply understand who and what we're about, what is ours to do, what is ours to know. And so I begin by knowing that there is, for me, a universal presence that is speaking through me, that is aware of what my activity looks like. And there is great clarity and an assurance in that I am not alone, that I walk in through as God. And therefore, what I need to know is immediately available. What I need to say is immediately available. And also in this awareness, I know for Teresa that right where she is, this power also exists, and that she can trust it. She can allow herself to sink deeply into it, and therefore also trust the process without making great designs on what needs to happen. Instead, through Teresa and through her trust, what is being revealed are her exact and appropriate next steps, where she is so deeply trusting this power and this presence within her. And I know for Harvey that right where he is, this presence also exists, and it exists in the quality of joy. Joy is something that is forever flowing in him, through him, for it is one of the main qualities of God. And that joy shows up as him and through him. So not only is he able to bring joy into his life, he is able to be the catalyst for great joy as it moves out into his world. And that this joy is also something that he just can rest in that embrace and allow it to be fully and freely. And I know for Bonnie that there is also great clarity in her next steps. As she begins this time of transition, that she is also open to allowing a greater idea of who she is, where she is, what she is, to just be open to finding that place, finding that clarity, and then being able to take the steps, expected or unexpected, knowing that she is always being guided, for she too is held in the embrace of a universal presence that only wants her good. And I know for Gail that right where she is, there is great peace, a peace that surpasses understanding. In other words, she doesn't have to look for the evidence of it because it is just who she truly is, a peaceful presence in a world where that peaceful presence is being called forward through her and into a greater experience for her family, for her community, for the planet. And as I deeply accept and give in great gratitude the truth of these words, knowing that they have already been accepted into the mind of God, and that there is a resounding yes, 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 yes. It is unfolding exactly as it should. That I know that I can also just accept all that has been said for myself, for everyone here, for everyone not here. For I know that it is all good. It is all God. these seeds are planted. We nurture them, and in great joy, peace, trust, and clarity, we watch them grow. And I let it be so. And so it is. Right. Excuse me. So now it's time for our offering. And as always, I really want to thank all of you that have continued and stepped forward in making sure that our center is supported financially, and that we can rest assured that that when their time does come and we can meet again in person, that the center will be here and it'll be thriving. So there are two ways to donate currently, and one of them is mail us check. That works. And the other way is to make the center, if you do electronic banking, make the center a payee on your account. This is my preferred method, and you can even set it to reoccur so then you don't have to think about it again. But anyway, those are my two suggestions for that. And so at this time, because we're about to do our offering, I'm gonna put up our offering affirmation. Is that the offering affirmation? Okay. I can't see it. I can only see what's on my desktop here. So say this with me now. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies this gift. With all my heart and with all my mind, I know that I am saying yes to something I value. With all others present here, we dedicate these gifts to the values and visions we share. Okay. Lost my place. How unusual. Okay, so I have a couple of announcements, but first, David Bruner this morning said something that really just touched me. So, and you know, the San Jose community is a relatively large community, as is Santa Rosa. But he said to his community, and so now I am saying to all of you, present and not present, we are not meant to do life alone. And so that's part of the reason why I feel like gathering in these virtual discussions is so important. So to further that, I've been asking you to consider how else we might be able to gather together. And some of the suggestions that I've thought of are things like doing a midweek check-in, which would probably be like on a Wednesday, and probably, you know, early evening or late afternoon, so anybody who is out and about can make it if they want. And it's just I was listening to one the other day. I went into a check-in group, and I was really moved at how deep they went in really a short amount of time. So if you're interested in something like that, you know, let me know. A book group. There's been a number of centers I've been watching that are using books and to do like a book study, book group also seems to be very popular. In fact, most of those groups, they're trying to limit the number of people that can be to, you know, 6 to 8. But anyway, think about it. I also, as a lot of you know, because I've said it, on my Facebook page, I put a question every day, and it's just to kind of touch, it again, it's just to touch base. And yes, occasionally somebody from our center goes in, but I get I'm probably averaging 30 answers and have had a few days where I've had quite a bit more. And they're just from other people that happen to see it and like it. So I just encourage you. It's fun. It's the questions, sometimes they're a little deep, but most of the time, not. um, I asked a question, I think yesterday was, are you an introvert or do you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert and why? I got some really interesting answers. It was really a lot of fun. But if you don't like the question, you can just, wait another day, try again. It's okay. Bonnie's answered some of my questions. And speaking of Bonnie, she would also like me to remind you that in January, we'll be having an annual meeting. It will probably be virtual. And during that meeting, we will be electing 2 new board members. And in order to elect 2 new board members, we need to have some people step forward. So if you would like considering that, please connect directly with Bonnie and let her know. If you have any questions about requirements or anything, she can answer that. So, and then I'm going to be this week sending out an additional email to everybody. And so I want you to definitely look for it. And it's about voting as a spiritual practice. And so Centers for Spiritual Living has put together, and it's a very long document, but in it there's one page about things to consider before you go to vote. And it has mostly to do with looking at, does this candidate, does this proposition, is it in line with my values? And so it has like the values that Centers for Spiritual Living set up as our values of if we're going to be a community, what are our values? So kind of look for that. And Madge actually sent me, I don't know, some of you might already, I'm looking around to see if I can find it. Here it is. Madge sent me a California ballot proposition recommendations. Now, as a center, we cannot make any recommendations on how you should vote, but this document is actually, it has a list of all these different, like the California Democratic Party, Harvey Milk, LGBT Democratic Party, San Francisco Green Party, on and on and on. And, the Republicans, League of Women Voters, and their recommendations on our propositions. So, because it isn't, and there's even, I don't think you guys can probably see this because it's little, but anyway, that's what it looks like. Oh, so that's what it looks like. And down at the bottom, there is a list of the propositions. So if you're kind of going, well, let's see, California Labor Federation says no on 22. What's 22? And you look. So it's just something that Madge thought would be helpful. And so I'm going to probably attach that with the values thing. So take a look for that, and that'll be great. Okay, so Mary, can you sing us out?
It's so nice to have you back, Candice.
Thank you. Oh, I just lost you. What happened?
You unmuted. It said the host muted, whatever.
Oh,
Anyway,
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
I didn't think you did. And I like what you said about dwelling, what we dwell on, becomes our life, and that's how we change the world. That's not exactly what you said, but my practice lately has been gratitude, focusing on things I'm grateful for. And my husband, Jim, was recently diagnosed with follicular lymphoma, which is a blood cell cancer, and he's going to start chemo probably next week. It's a non-aggressive type, so they're saying, we might have another decade or two to go. But anyway, so I find it most helpful to focus on things that I'm grateful for. And I wrote this song very soon after we got the preliminary diagnosis, and I had planted a pear tree a few years ago, and this was my first real harvest from the pear tree, and I just wanted to say thank you for this amazing gift of fruit off a tree. It's just a little miracle. I wrote it in 5 parts, so I'm going to try playing it on my computer to sing along. Oh, I also, it's easy, I think, if you want to sing along. Let me see. I have a link. Sheet music. Hold on. Sorry. There's the words. And if you want to see it written out, screen sharing kind of hijacks the whole experience, so I'm just going to let you choose if you want to go follow this link. Anyway, so I'm going to play it and sing along with my own recording of 5 of me singing. It's a zipper song, which means you can zip in any song you want. Thank you for this fruit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for these friends. That's what I thought we'd do today. Okay. Thank you for this fruit, this wonderful fruit, this generous fruit, stupendous fruit. Thank you for this. Thank you for this fruit, this generous fruit, stupendous fruit. Thank you for this. Thank you, this wonderful fruit, this generous fruit, stupendous fruit. Thank you for these gifts, this wonderful gift, this generous gift, stupendous gift. These friends. Thank you for this fruit, this generous fruit, stupendous fruit. Thank you for these friends, these wonderful friends, these generous friends, stupendous friends.
Thank you, stupendous Mary Buckley. Wow, love you, love the song. So that was so great. So, okay, we have a little bit of time left, so I'm gonna unmute you all. And if someone would like to offer something, share something, now would be your time.
Oh, Mary, you're singing your song got my dog's attention. Wanted to come over and lick me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your dog is probably grateful for you, I imagine.
Oh, yeah.
And thank you, Candice,
Yeah.
for your talk. It's very uplifting.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for doing this so much and all of you being here.
So I will tell you guys, I did connect with Kitty this week, and
good.
she's just lovely. And it was mostly email, but I think we're gonna have a chat this next week because but she's sounds great, and just also grateful for the newsletter and things like that. So we're connecting, and I've had a few just kind of spontaneous, either they saw it on YouTube or on Facebook, but then I'll be downloading this to those 2 places when we're finished here. And so we're getting like additional hits in those on those 2 platforms. So I feel like we're starting to make a dent. And so I think we keep it up and we talk about it positively. If, you know, if you can share with other people, particularly other people that are in the center, about that this is happening, because it's really hard, because with the newsletter I never know if it ever even gets opened, you know, and much less if it gets read. Some people are going in now mainly just for the inspiration at the beginning and don't read the announcements, and others go just for the announcements and are looking for something that's interesting. But I would really love to hear from some people about things that you would like to see happen so that we can stay more connected.
So, oops.
Oh, hi, Michelle. And like I said earlier, I just moved up here, but I have been going to the Center for Spiritual Living for quite a while down in Santa Rosa. And one of the things we do down there is spiritual circles. And I've been a part of that. Every Monday, I join in with my spiritual circle, and we talk about the service from Sunday. And so we spend about an hour, and it's a really great way to get to know the other people and connect while also thinking about the message. I just wanted to share that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Kitty.
Well, I kind of think that either a spiritual circle like that or a book study, something where we have a focus, might be better than just a check-in, because then we're going to check in anyway. You know, we're going to see that everybody in that group is okay, but it also gives us a focus, and I think helps to keep us positive. Anyway, that's.
Well, if that's the case, I like both those ideas of, you know, you could do a discussion about the talk, or we could do a book discussion, and I know that, and that is often what happens, is they usually are scheduled for an hour, and depending on the size of the group, because we heard Madge talk about when the chorus gets together, that they spend about half of their time checking in.
Yeah.
And, but she's, you know, it's Madge, and so she goes, they have a minute and a half to check in. Yes. So I love that. But then somebody has to go, okay, you're done. But it's just, you know, it's a check-in. It's not a, you know, it's not a counseling session. It's a check-in. And then they sing for the rest of the time. And my understanding is somebody, and sometimes it's Madge, but sometimes it's Mary or somebody else, actually leads. And so everybody's muted, but you can see everybody's singing. So it's fun. I kind of like the idea of a book, because that does give you something to talk about. But there are there's Power of 8 groups, which are they're also have some kind of a program, and I can look into those things if some of you guys are interested. You know, deciding on a day or a night or whatever, that's kind of hard, but we'll do our best, you know, to figure that out. So I'm seeing in the chat that Harvey, or no, Teresa would like a copy of Mary's song. So Mary, I could do that because I have your recording here. So unless you have Teresa's email, then you can just do it yourself.
I re-recorded the Stupendous Fruit one to include some other words. So I have a new recording.
Oh, great. Well, send that to me too.
Yeah.
Yay.
I don't have an audio recording of In Lockdown. It'll have to be the YouTube link. I made a video.
That's fine.
Anyway, could I also just add, I said it's nice to have you back, but I also want to say that almost everybody in this group did an amazing job keeping everything going in your absence, you know. Thank you to everybody else too. You know, that I was impressed. You just kept it happening. It was great.
Yeah.
Appreciate you all.
Well, we are our community, and it's important to us. I think all of us.
I didn't want to sound like, oh, it's terrible when you were gone. Sorry.
No, I knew that I knew that they were fine because I was I've been at, you know, before lockdown, I was going to Santa Rosa once a month and taking my teenage grandchildren so that they could go to youth group and have that experience. And so, you know, when the lockdown happened, I immediately started Zooming Edwards. But I'll tell you, it's like, I love it. And I love San Jose. I mean, these men are really speaking to my heart. But I feel like that this is my community. And so I do want to see it continue to grow and thrive. So, you know, whatever we can do to make that happen, that would be great.
Well, as some of you know, I grew up in this teaching, and as did my sister. And
Michelle, her sister.
Oh, that's right. Candice is my baby sister. And I don't intend to not be in this teaching and community ever. It's what I am and what I believe and what I like to share. And the people that this thinking attracts are people that I come to love because we share so much and in deep levels. And you seem to appreciate my silliness when I get very silly. So I'm thankful for that. My rock painting is going strong. I'm part of the Ukiah Utown Rocks, Kindness Rocks. And it's become my art that I do now, my craft. And I'm really enjoying the ongoing I've been doing them since the end of March.
Love those. I have received several and I have passed several on.
That's good.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll bring one home and have it for a while, and then when I go out and put some of my rocks out, I put it back out into circulation.
Yep.
And if you go on Facebook, hashtag U-Town Rocks, you'll see lots of them on display.
Huh.
Yeah. Which is really fun, because sometimes even I'll see ones that I've done that people have found and said, I found this over by the tractor store. And that's always fun to see someone's picked up a rock. Although I do check back occasionally and the rocks aren't there anymore. And, from time to time, I do put them around the center.
Yep. That's where I've received mine. And that's always fun. It's like, oh, look, get this little message for me.
Yeah. I've started in on the upcoming holidays, the Halloween and Thanksgiving and solstice.
So that'll be fun.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. And some of the pumpkins are outrageous. One of them's eating another one. I don't know if I've got that one here.
I have a question. Does anybody know how Larry Christiani is? Does he come to the center or at all? I mean, I wouldn't think so. But
Are you talking about Larry?
yeah, Larry.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Gail, you want
I keep him in the
Yeah, I
market.
was going to say, yes, I have seen him. We don't have a scheduled, he used to come in on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we don't have that scheduled any longer, but every now and then he shows up, and when I'm there, and he's doing fine. He was really cute. He left an official resignation as to our barista on Sundays.
Oh,
Yeah,
And we'll return when the center opens back up. So,
yeah.
and he did for a while. He did check in every Sunday to ask whether we were still open or not, and I always said no, and it'll be a while. And so he has stopped doing that. But I am sure he will. He still comes by and takes the trash cans out and puts them back up. So he comes by, at least once a week, and we connect every now and then. And I'm sure when we are back up and running, he'll be back.
I'm glad you brought that up, Teresa, because I actually have been meaning to call him, to reach out to him, because he could call in, even if it's, I think you can, even from a landline, you can call those numbers and get in. So he wouldn't be able to see, but he could hear.
That would be nice.
I'll talk
Yeah.
to him. And
Yeah.
and the other thing I was thinking about with him specifically is to print out a newsletter and mail it to him every
Oh.
week.
That would also be a
Good idea.
Good idea. That's a really good idea. I think he'd really appreciate that.
yeah.
I do too. That would be very kind. That would be a very kind thing to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was leaving my house to walk to the farmer's market yesterday. There walked somebody, said, "Hi, Harvey." It was Larry's sister.
Oh,
Hey.
Funny.
yeah.
And I was walking to the farmer's market, and so was she. So we walked to the farmer's market. And so it was nice to see her ebullient and bubbling spirit as we walked to the farmer's market together. I just thought I'd mention.
Nice.
Yeah, there are those people that I miss. I'm just so
Yeah.
happy when we're actually back together.
and I bet most of you know Carlos moved to Pennsylvania.
Oh. I did not know.
Yeah.
Oh, didn't know that. I knew he was going to though, so.
His mother lives there.
Who?
Carlos.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he was moving to Pittsburgh or someplace close by.
Closer, Harrisburg, is it somewhere?
More to
Pittsburgh.
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia.
There's centers in both those places. I don't know if he still is, we have an email for him and a phone, but
He has contacted Harvey.
Oh,
well, it's actually the Philadelphia one, I think, is actually in Paoli, but it's Maxine Kay is the minister there. She's really
oh,
I think I remember her.
and her
love
partner,
that.
Mike Rudy's, also is a minister, and I think he maybe does some of the services. So, there would definitely be.
What's the center called, Candice?
They're all Center for Spiritual Living. I'm thinking it's Paoli, but there is one in Pittsburgh too. That one I don't know very well. It's they have a student who's he may have graduated by now, but who's kind of been doing their live stream for them.
When I was back in Pennsylvania a couple of years ago, I had family there. Pittsburgh didn't at that time have a minister, I don't think.
A what?
I don't think Pittsburgh had a minister at
I know, that's what I'm saying, that there's a student who stepped in, and so I don't know where his graduation is. But he actually, I listened to a couple of his things, just the recordings, and he was interesting. I thought he did a good presentation, but he's literally like sitting like I am at a desk and talking, you know. So I don't know if he does any kind of live stream or not, but it's I've listened to recordings. There's so many. I mean, God, if you just want to get lifted up and you're in the middle of your day and you're not sure what to do, there are just tons. And, you know, like I said, I don't really want you listening to San Jose or Santa Rosa because I steal from them a lot. So you're likely to hear what they said eventually anyway. But yeah, but Dallas, Mile High, these are big centers and they're all recording. Redondo Beach. But all the small centers are doing stuff too. I mean, I watched one from Granada Hills. So there's a lot of support and uplifting going on out there. So take advantage of that.
one in Atlanta, Georgia is really good. David Alexander.
David Alexander.
Yeah.
I've known him since he was a kid. There's a couple of ministers out there who went to teen camp, and David is one of them. And oh my gosh, he's amazing and a really good speaker. So, but David Alt is, I mean, he comes on during the day, so it's all good. Yeah, there's lots to look at.
And the Redondo
That's
church
what I said.
we grew up is Moira Fox is the reverend there, and she's really good.
She's really good.
She has this Irish. She was an Irish teaching nun at the beginning of her career. She at one time lived in the ashram with Krishnamurti. She's well, you know,
very well-rounded.
Well-rounded.
And she's really smart. So she can throw out the quotes and the references.
Yeah.
She's really good.
She's really good.
This morning I watched Michael Beckwith at Agape.
Oh,
Agape is great. Michael's talks are great.
Great music.
Yeah.
I noticed I was on YouTube watching one, and when it stopped, another one from somewhere else started. You know how YouTube will cycle on. So I didn't stay for the whole thing because I was on my way out, but I thought, you know, that's a way to hear more too, is just start with one of them and see where it takes you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, you guys. I think we're finished for the day. So I love you. Thank you for being here. Victoria, there's a family Zoom this afternoon. So
okay.
So I'll send the reminder.
Give my love to Jim.
Thank you.
Okay, see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye. Love you all.
Bye.